future times, you gotta keep in mind.
Hello everyone, welcome to another Keep6ix weekly Connect the Six
Social
live.
distancing is a must.
I am your host Rachel. Welcome everyone for tuning in. Hello, hello, hello.
Brought to you by Keep6ix.org. Keep numeral 6.
Welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We have a very special guest, Opal McKenzie, who will be on and speaking on crisis intervention and mental health. I'm just waiting on Opal here, and then we will get started. Hi, Natasha. There we go.
The way you walk, Keep6ix. I like the way we talk.
Hello, hello, hello.
You gotta keep in mind. Keep6ix. Keep6ix. Stay safe and keep 6.
Welcome. So I'm just waiting on Opal for a scheduled programming, and then we will get started. Hey, Rich.
Social distancing.
Kurt, I just got a friend request from you. Maybe we can get you to jump on at the end. So we're just waiting on Opal right now. But yeah, today is a very special session. We have Opal McKenzie, who is Keep6ix president, who's going to be joining us today. We're going to be talking about a few things related to mental health, crisis intervention, and then Keep6ix as well. Hello, hello.
Keep6ix.org. Keep it safe. Keep6ix.
All right, let's see. Shout out to Opal. Yes, shout out to Opal. Hello. Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. I can hardly hear you though.
You can't hear me?
Huh? I can hardly hear you.
Let's see. Maybe we need to turn the volume up a little bit. Is everybody else able to hear me okay? Just to know if it's just on my end or if it's on Opal's end. Natasha, are you able to confirm if you can hear me okay? Hey, everyone. How is that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
That's better? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. So I wasn't sure if it was my end or not, but we look like, yes, we're good to go. All right. So I've been excited for this because we're introducing you officially. This is the first little introduction here for you on Keep6ix Instagram Live. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. It's always an honor. So first off, for a lot of those who've been viewing and watching for a while, a lot of us are familiar with some of the members within Keep6ix, be it Richard, Natasha, and some of our volunteers. But this is the first time that everyone's getting to meet you. Okay. So I guess first off, what we'll do is I'll let you have the floor for a little bit just to introduce yourself.
Okay.
Just about who you are, what is it that you do, a little bit about your background, just to give everyone just a little bit idea of who Opal is.
Okay, that's a mouthful. It's more than a mouthful. So I actually My name is Opal McKenzie, and I am from Jamaica. Came here in the late 70s to pursue a degree in nursing, because actually it started to a program in nursing in Jamaica, and came here. And when I got here, the transition was not as easy as I thought it would be, because I was already doing a degree program in nursing. And when I got here, Canada had not started a degree program yet, so I couldn't make a transition. So I decided to go to York to do a degree in sociology and political science, which I thought was kind of my alley. Because to be honest with you, my dad wanted me to be a nurse. I didn't want to be a nurse. So I thought that was an easy thing to do, because it would be serving the purpose of serving the community and people, which I love so much. And so I got here and I finished that, and decided I was going to work for the brokerage stock exchange. So I went to the stock exchange to be a broker. I did that for a couple of years. And then the affirmative action came out. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if you understand, the affirmative action giving Black people the opportunity to advance in those kinds of government offices that normally wouldn't be open to us. So I applied and got through to go into Veterans Affairs Canada. The struggle was real as a Black individual in a department that was predominantly white. Mm-hmm. But I endured that, and after a couple of years, well, I probably spent some 6 years in that department. Mm-hmm. I left and thought it was time for me to go into my real calling, which was social services. And so I got hired with a company, and I've been there ever since. It's an acquired brain injury department that I work with. I manage a program there, and so I have a passion for that, and that's what I do in my spare time. I'm an ordained elder, so I am very involved in activities at church, and I love singing, and I act. I do all kinds of things. So that's me in a nutshell. I believe so much in community work because as a young child, my grandmother actually, she was one of those individuals who always wanted to give people in the community things, you know. And as a child, I was actually thinking, what is the purpose of this? You're always sharing what we have. Sometimes it wasn't enough, but she was always sharing with the community. But later in life, I found out that, you know, it's a selfless thing to do. And when you see people that are in need and they're so happy that you're sharing with them, I actually decided in my own personal life to do the same thing. So even my children to this day, you know, we would go to the food bank to help deliver food and sort food. When everybody else was having a good time, that's what we're doing. Going to the nursing home, and I was singing and they were there saying hi to the elderly folks in the nursing home. So I think that it was always something that was embedded in me to give and to support. And so that's who I am and always will be.
You've been serving your community for a very long time.
For a very long time.
And
yes.
You're continuing to do so. We have a few requests for you. We have a couple people asking you to sing.
To sing? Oh dear. Where did I want to hear? Which song?
Because Eddie and Natasha are asking you to sing. What song, Eddie?
I can sing Great Is Thy Faithfulness. Does he want to hear Great Is Thy Faithfulness? Okay.
All right, let's hear what Eddie says. But yeah, you've been serving your community for a very long time, and you've been one to really see how things have evolved over the years.
Yeah, and one of the things I wanted to say as well, when I got here too, one of my girlfriends was so interested in doing community work that she was the president of one of this BBPA. And so I volunteered with them for years, like on end. I just stopped since the pandemic started. And so I've always done that with special event planning. So it's always community, giving back in the community. That's what we've been doing. Providing scholarships for people going to school and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. And now you are the president of Keep6ix.
I know.
How does that
dear.
feel?
That sounds scary, right?
How does it feel?
You know what? I think it's just an extension of the things I do already.
Yeah.
Because in my personal life, I do work with individuals who are in the criminal justice system, and I know the challenges that they have on a daily basis to navigate the system. And so when this opportunity came to me, I felt, well, this is probably something I could get involved with. And my girlfriend, I must say, she was the one that told me about Keep6ix. I'm like, Keep6ix, what's that? Because I had a client actually who had mental health exceptionalities, and I actually, as a caseworker at the time, tried to get him help, and I couldn't find any support. Didn't at the time, couldn't find any support for somebody who had mental health challenges, and along with the criminal justice system. So it was something that I thought would fit who I am and the fact that I can advocate, because I love to advocate for individuals. And so I thought this would be a good opportunity to support and to give back.
For sure.
I'm looking forward to it.
I
sure
was going to say, we're happy to have you. And
well, thank you so much. You're so kind.
Working with you thus far. And
thank you.
Excited for what's in store. So focusing a little bit on what you do when it comes to right now, and you had said you're managing a program itself.
Yes.
A lot of your background being within social services, mental health, crisis intervention. And I think especially now with COVID-19 and there being such a focus on mental health specifically, I thought it'd be good just to spend a little bit of time talking a little bit about what you've done over the years, because I know you have an extensive background when it comes to supporting individuals, be it either from a crisis perspective or from a mental health perspective.
Yeah.
So what exactly does the crisis intervention worker do?
So we actually provide stability and coping mechanism for people who are going through severe challenges, mental health challenges for one. And in my capacity, at the program manager, I have individuals who have brain injury. So I don't know if you understand what acquired brain injury is. It's one of those things that refers to the damage that happens after birth to your brain. So that could occur when there's a car accident, a motor vehicle accident, or somebody suffers a stroke, or somebody gets a blow to the head and it rearranges the brain itself. And so that's what the problem is that the individual is facing. The strategies that we use to help those individuals could mean that we're always trying to help them to be stable, to help them to de-escalate when they're aggressive, because when you get a trauma to the brain, a lot of things changes with you. So we're always constantly in a crisis. Oh, I'm going to kill myself today. You have to de-escalate a person coming down from that. Or they're physically aggressive towards somebody else. You have to have strategies to know how to combat that, and yet still preserving their rights as an individual. So that's what I manage. That's a program I manage on a daily basis. Yeah. And with mental health, I'm counseling also with mental health, because I also work with individuals, young people who are homeless, and they also have mental health exceptionalities. So I'm counseling them every day. Like, do you have a plan? Some will come to me, oh, I feel I'm depressed today. I feel like killing myself today. So I have to talk them through that by using the strategies that we have in place for them.
And I imagine it takes a lot of empathy.
Yes.
It takes a lot of patience.
And active listening.
I was going to say that as well.
Yeah.
So how do you create sort of a relationship or build that trust with these individuals, especially when they're going through something like that?
I think for the most part, it's easy for us to diagnose an individual before we actually hear what it is that the problem is. And so I have learned over the years that I have to do active listening, right? So your brain tends to go so fast when you think you hear what they're saying, but actually you're not hearing what they're saying. So you have to more or less calm yourself down and listen to the conversation and give them the opportunity to say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm requesting from you, and not what you think they need. And so if you can engage them in conversations to the goal they're looking for and the accomplishments at the end of the day, then that's what is successful in dealing with individuals going through crisis.
Right. Because I feel for a lot of individuals, they're misunderstood, right? And like
Yeah,
it's very easy to judge someone before really
that's
getting
right.
to spend that time to understand them.
Hmm.
And so for a lot of them, it's really just hearing them for what, and some may not be able to communicate
That's right.
as others do, right? As Warren is saying, it takes time, and that's true.
Hmm. Especially those that have a brain injury, they'll tell you the same thing 40 times, and you can't move on from the conversation. So you have to talk about being patient. You have to develop a whole lot of patience when you're dealing with individuals. And some people, even with mental health, they'll say things to you. It's easy for you to say, oh, maybe you need to just think about something else and just get yourself out of the funk where you are. But you really have to get to the root matter. And the only way you're going to do that is to get to know the individual, get to understand where they are, where they're going, and what it is that they need from you, right? Without jumping to conclusions. Yeah.
Right. So I've been hearing a little bit over the last little while about
ABI.
Or ABI,
Acquired brain injury. Yeah.
And I've been hearing about various strategies, and I know you kind of started to speak a bit about some of the strategies that you use when interacting with the individuals that you work with.
Yeah.
But if you could elaborate a little bit more on what ABI is and what are some of those strategies that you may use on a daily.
Okay. So ABI is short for acquired brain injury. And so it refers to any type of damage that happens after birth. And like I said, it could be a brain injury, a drug use, it could be a motor vehicle accident, a stroke, or a blow to the head. And strategies that we would use would include scheduling. For example, you'd be surprised to know how just scheduling their days make a big difference in the life of somebody who has an acquired brain injury, because they're not thinking as rational as we are anymore. And one of the strategies that we use is to make sure that they know what's going to take place every hour on the hour. That's one of the strategies we use. So we'd write that on a whiteboard in their rooms or in an open space so they can always see it. A lot of them will use their timers or their cell phones to record activities that they have to do, so that they're not, because they get really frustrated when they're not sure what's coming next.
Right.
So we have to make sure that they're aware of what you're doing. And another strategy that we always use, we never start a process with them without telling them what it is we're going to do. So if it's for example, if you're going to be doing a shower routine with somebody, you say, okay, John, it's time for your shower. And so we're going to ask you to get dressed. So it's like teaching a child all over again. The steps are, one routine could have 19 steps, but that's how they learn, from consistency. So that's what the staff that I manage, that's how, and they're all trained in that way to deal with individuals that have a brain injury. And those are the strategies that we use. Consistency is one thing that they need in their lives. We label things as much as we can so they know, they see it visually, and they're able to connect with what they're going to be doing next. Keeping things, for example, a household chore that we take for granted, it would take somebody with a brain injury hours to complete. Mm-hmm. So we have to write the steps out so they understand what it is that they have to do. So that's my role, to manage and to make changes so that their lives are not impacted in any ways,
Right.
And also, but we also work with a clinical team as well. So if there's things that needs to be changed in the person's daily life, we have a neuropsychologist who will, come to us and give us some suggestions as to how to do those kind of things.
So a lot of patience, a lot of consistency.
Yeah.
And it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that takes time.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
We have someone who said, as a human with ABI and mental health diagnosis, I would trust you. I can feel your experience, wisdom, and care. Glad.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, I do have 26 years of experience with ABI wells as well. So, you know, and I think one of the things that drives me is the fact that we never know when one of us or a relative of us or friends that we have might have an ABI. It's not something that is out of the norm for people. You could suffer a stroke tomorrow, and because of the oxygen not going to your brain enough, you develop an ABI, and so there you are. So I put myself in that position to say, I want to make sure that that person is treated the way I want to be treated, or one of my family or one of my friends, because it really changes your life. It changes the whole dynamic, family dynamic, when somebody has an ABI. And so I go to work every day excited to see what's going to happen next, and to see how, because we transition clients from one place to the next. So to see the strides that they've made so they can move on to something else, that's what excites me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was going to actually lead into that, because I can imagine that there's multiple various partners that you must work with, both from family, from the family dynamic, but
Exactly.
also from the legal field, from the medical field, the justice field. How do they all, I mean, we know how they all interconnect based on the individual that you're supporting. But what is it like having to sort of liaise between all of those various fields?
It can be challenging. I guess, for example, you know, and you talk about, you know, the legal part of it, and folks who have, for example, if somebody comes in with an ABI, they could have a team of lawyers, or, you know, they have lawyers that gives you power of attorney for finances, power of attorney for health, power of attorney for this and that. And so it's very difficult to navigate through without not speaking to everyone. And you can find a lot of challenges, but you just have to know how to be patient and to get to where you're going real fast, because it's not really about you, it's about the individuals. And so I think we actually have goals for the clients. So in as much as they have an ABI, we want to get to the reason, what is it they want for themselves, because they have goals as well, right? So we work through those things with them. What would you like? Where would you see yourself in 3-4 years? What do you want to work? Do you want to join a club? What is it you want to do? And so we work and navigate through those things with them, and to make sure. Families can be very challenging, because, you know, one of the things with an ABI client or somebody that has mental health, you think that they're going to be the same person tomorrow, but this is a totally different person that we're dealing with right now. I've seen marriages break up because they cannot deal with the fact that this person is not the same person. They're not the same person, because a brain injury changes who you are. And so we have to deal with that on a regular basis. And that's, I mean, I don't, for myself, because I believe I'm a strong advocate. I go into a meeting and this is what I want. This is what, because I'm advocating for my client, and I typically get what I want from it. I must say that my success rate is good. You know, there are times when I remember one of the psychologists says to me, so who's running this meeting? Is it you or me? And I'm like, okay, sorry. But I'm just so passionate about what I want, and I want what I want it now, kind of thing for my clients. So I do that really well. I think I'm very good at that.
Are there supports in place for families? Because like you said, it is a transition, and sometimes the families are expecting their family members or loved ones to be a certain way. So are there supports in place for the families as well to learn how to adapt and support them?
Yes, actually, I'm glad. I was going to say, we have a caregiver service that we run in an agency, and I actually was a coordinator. We actually applied for that funding from Trillium Foundation, and we got that. So we started the Trillium Foundation for caregivers. So they would come in and have sessions, and, you know, it's like one of those group sessions that you'd have, families would meet and talk about their struggles and how they're coping, and mechanism that each other share with each other. And sometimes they would come in, and we'll have speakers coming to talk to them on various topics to give them the support they want. Because like I said, you know, when you think of your loved ones there and they're never going to return home, or they will never be the same, it's hard sometimes to deal with those kind of things. So we have support in place for them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, because it's not hard as much as it's not hard on the loved one. It's not hard on the family members either.
As well. Yes. Yeah.
So I can see that for sure. We have someone
Yeah.
who said, one knowledgeable powerhouse right here, full of knowledge, compassion. We need workers like you.
Oh boy. Well, thank you so much.
So I can only imagine then you have a very heavy caseload.
Yes.
How do you stay organized? How do you plan and prioritize your work?
Oh boy. So for me, I think for me, every day I go to work with a plan. I do know what I have to get through to the day. And I guess because I'm more of an achiever. And, I think if my staff is listening to me right now, he's probably tearing his hair out because he knows that I do have things. I know what my day looks like. I'm zoomed out because there's so many meetings that I have to attend to, but I try to get through my day by organizing what is my priority for the day, and that is to make sure that the house is run the way it should be run, and the clients that I have in my care are taken care of, and my staff, I make sure my staff are very well taken care of as well. And it's just a matter of trying to focus on what it is I need to do, and if I need to be sidetracked, I'm very flexible enough to do that as well.
Right.
But I don't, and I'll say this, I don't want to be flimsy when I say this. I love what I do. So I don't see it as a chore. I'm not overwhelmed by it. There's sometimes I take work home because I'm like, I really need to get this done. But I'm not overwhelmed by it because I really love the work that I do.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's very rare that you find someone that says that they love what they do.
Yeah.
So
I get up wanting to go to work every day. So for now,
and
I
I
enjoy
know
it.
you bring home your work too.
I do. But I get through that with ice cream and apple pie. So.
I was about to say the ice cream. Oh,
I do get through the night with that. So it really, it's a comfort food for me. But I also work out, so I think I deserve to do that. So it's okay.
so how do you keep your emotions in check? Because I'm sure sometimes it can get emotionally challenging to support certain clients, and maybe they may not be going in the direction, or maybe it might be a bad day for them. How do you sort of keep yourself grounded to prevent, not necessarily to say you're not bringing that home with you per se, but to sort of ensure that you don't allow it to get the best of you in terms of maybe how you may feel you may have handled a certain situation, for example?
For me, I have a saying that I say, I check myself before I wreck myself. And so I like to count to 10. If I go very quiet, that means I'm really, really thinking about something. Something's really not going right, and I'm really upset about it. So I go into my quiet mode because I really want to focus and think about it before I say it. And I think for me, and I'll be honest with you, sometimes my emotion gets in the way. And I have to be very careful that that doesn't happen. And so I count to 10. I really count to 10. Because sometimes, somebody comes in your office and they're telling you things, so, you want to say, like, really? Because, like, really? You think I'm really going to believe what you're telling me right now? But you can't say that, right? So you just sit there and you listen and you count to 10 and hope that at the end of the day you can resolve the matter in a professional way.
And you made a point in terms of, like, there are times when emotions might get the best, and we're all human.
Yeah.
So it's
Exactly.
not to say that at any point in time, no, we're all robots that are supposed to act a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
What you do with that emotion, or how you handle that when it comes to you, that's what the difference is. Right?
And you have to own it too. I think sometimes, you have to be big enough to say, "Lead, I made a mistake, I'm sorry." And so what is somebody going to say after you say you're sorry, right? You resolve it and you move on. So that's how I deal with it. I'll make mistakes because I don't want to be infallible. Never. So
Right.
I try to make sure that, I can manage my emotions that well.
So with the individuals that you see, And I know you've got years and years of experience in this field as well. Have you seen, like, is there a higher representation of BIPOC individuals or are there any supports, culturally specific supports for BIPOC individuals?
Yeah, I'm happy you mentioned that, because we actually just started the Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Committee in our agency, and so for years we never had that at all. And I guess because of this Black Lives Matter movement, we decided that we were going to do that, and we have a team of individuals that are hard at work right now supporting individuals that we have of color and Asian, Indians, whatever. So we make sure that we culturally support them in everything that they do. So that, because I think it's easy to forget that we're not culture sensitive towards other people's beliefs and cultures. And so that's what we're trying to do very hard. So we've tried to support our staff as much as we can by putting that committee together. And we're working hard to make sure the policies line up with people of diverse backgrounds, and they're included in everything, and it's equitable, because there's power and privilege, right, all over. And so we want to make sure that it's distributed evenly. So we that's what we're doing right now.
And do you feel that, I mean, it's something that's being implemented now, but prior to that, was there supports in place?
No, there wasn't. No, because I came up through the system when I think I was one of two people of color in my agency. I always say they probably hired me because my name sounded Scottish, McKenzie. So they hired me but then they saw, oh, she's Black. What do we do now? We got to hire her, kind of thing. I joke about it all the time because, and I had a hard time. I could write a book. The struggles were real for me as a Black individual. People didn't understand me. I was misunderstood. If I spoke loudly, oh, she's upset. It was just difficult. I remember one of the directors said to me at one point, he said, you got all the skills that we need. We'll put you on special projects, but we really don't want you to be part of this team, because I think that you would come in here and actually change the culture of what I've created. And so I'm like, okay, I'm so glad to hear that, because I'm a praying person. When I go to bed, I don't pray to you, so I'm good to go. So those are kind of some of the barriers that I had to face. And so it is good that we have these committees in place right now, so people will not have to go through the same challenges that I went through in this country, actually, quite frankly. Yeah.
And that's what you've seen everything evolve.
Yeah.
Over the years, right?
Because I remember, it's funny, because I remember even when I worked with Veterans Affairs Canada, I remember hearing people plotting, oh, we're going to make sure she leaves this place, because I was the only Black person there at the time, and it was difficult. But, I'm a strong individual. I figured, well, no, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to work and I'm going to do what I have to do until I'm ready to leave.
Right. So
bring it on. And so this is just who I have been. And I'm just hoping that things will evolve to the place where people are accepted for who they are. The color of their skin is not what's important. It's the content of your character, according to what Martin Luther King says. So everybody gets an opportunity to do the best job they can. And so that's why I advocate so strongly for people. And hopefully Keep6ix, I can get to do the same thing with Keep6ix.
For sure. We have somebody asking, what's your favorite choice of ice cream?
It's praline and cream. What? It's praline and cream. And if it's from a West Indian store, then it's grape nut.
Yeah, I was gonna say grape nut is mine.
Yeah.
Grape nut or rum and raisin.
Okay, so I love grape nut. My best. That's one of the best. But if I couldn't find grape nut, then it's praline and cream, because it gives you the same nutty taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Natasha's asking, how do you ensure the DEI work is accountable?
The DEI work.
Natasha, can you give us a little bit of clarification, please? I'm not too sure what you meant by the DEI work. You can just give us a little bit of
EDI?
maybe EDI?
Maybe it's EDI. Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Committee.
Maybe, because that's what you were speaking about just beforehand.
So what's the question?
How do you ensure that their work is accountable?
So we have to report on what we're doing each time. And so if somebody brings a matter to the committee, we have to act on it and report that we've acted on it. And so that's how we measure what we're doing. That's how we do it. It's not just having a meeting to have a meeting. We're trying to solve problems and issues that folks have.
Right.
One of the things that they were talking about today is the word CEO, Chief Executive Director.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember folks were saying, that's a word we shouldn't use because it might infuriate people of the indigenous community. And so that's a discussion that we're having at this point. So we're kept accountable by what we do on the committee.
And I like that there's multiple inputs coming from
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? So it helps to get the viewpoints of quite a few individuals, especially ensuring that it's diverse in their responses. Yeah. So now, as president of Keep6ix, what are some initiatives you're currently working on, or focuses or priorities for 2021?
Okay, so right now we have the program Gangs with Tuition, and I'm sure you know a lot about that one. We're working with the Correction Services Canada to ensure that young people have the opportunity to have some education along with work employment. So we're working on that one. We also have the Youth Trades Program. That's one of the seminars that they've had, I think, last year or so. So we're hoping to bring that back. As well, there's a couple other programs that we're hoping to introduce over the year, as the year evolves. The TRAP program, which we'll probably talk a little bit more about more. It's an education program that we're hoping that young people who are interested in going back to school, that's an option for them, that would potentially finish school, get a degree if that's what they want to do, and finally get into a field of employment that they've chosen. Of course, there's also the empowerment to unlock the justice system that you guys do on a monthly basis as well. So that's one of the programs. We're hoping to continue those kind of programs. The idea for me at this point is to make sure that those programs are sustainable. And that's what we're looking at right now.
Yeah. There's quite a bit. It's funny, when you mention them, I'm going down the list in my head, and I realize we have quite a few initiatives that sometimes I don't even take into account how much we've really been able in terms of the support that we're able to achieve. So we have quite a few. And TRAP, we had Tyler on a couple weeks ago, and he spoke a bit about TRAP. So for those who are watching, you can actually go to our past IGTVs and get some more information with regards to the TRAP program. If anyone else has any questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section. My co-host Natasha will be sending them through to me. So how do you make time for yourself? I know you said you work out.
I work out. So Rachel, if you call me between the hours of 5:30 to 6:30, I'm not speaking to you. I'm not answering my phone because that's my time to decompress. I work out. I actually work out now via Zoom because of the COVID situation that we're having. But I would go work out with a group of ladies at a studio. And so we do that. And like I say, I sing. I am the leader for praise team. I speak to my children. I have 2 gorgeous grandchildren. That keeps me busy at times as well. And of course, I have loyal friends that I visit we communicate on the phone. So I keep myself busy. And whenever the opportunity comes across my table, I do some acting, and I always like to play the devil or Satan or whoever. It has to be something devious. I don't like to be the nice, kind person.
I'm
I'm
learning
tired of
something
being
today.
kind and nice. Yes. So whenever there's a play, they always say, "Oh, let her be Satan. She will do a good job." So in my acting roles, you go on YouTube, you might just see me acting as Satan. That's exactly what I do. I love that. That's what I do in my spare time. Yeah.
I learned something new today.
Did you?
Oh
Oh,
man.
man.
All right. So we've touched on the initiatives for 2021. We've touched a bit on what you do within your line of work. What about from a community standpoint? So I know you said you volunteered with BBPA for a while.
Uh-huh.
What was that like? And how important was it for you to volunteer?
Okay, so again, I thought that me giving back to the community was important because we had a whole lot of young people at the time, because we had in my area, in this GTA, I was in charge, well, it's from a church perspective, I should say. I was in charge of the Federation of Adventist Youth in this area, in the GTA, in the western side of it. And so we found that there were a lot of young people who wanted to go on to higher learning, but they could not afford the tuition, and it was just difficult. And so when BBPA got on off the ground, they had a scholarship fund that they started. And so every year they would have different activities to raise funds for students going to. Of course, they had to be eligible, prove that they're working, doing something to go to school. We just didn't offer the money to them like that. They would have to show the grades and that what course of study they were planning on doing, and people would sponsor them. And that's how I got involved, because there were a lot of young people at the time that I knew that wanted to go to school. So when the opportunity presents itself to me, I thought, well, I could volunteer. And so the Martin Luther King production was one of them that I started to be involved in. And I actually coordinated that program until of course, COVID took over, and we did it virtual last time. I don't know if you had a chance to see the clipping of Martin Luther King. I don't know if you did, but anyways,
Oh, I don't
there
think
was a
so.
promo production that I was on as well,
Okay.
talking about my volunteer work with them over the years.
Yeah. What do you think you've learned over the years from your volunteer experience?
I think that you have to ask for what you want.
Mm-hmm.
When you volunteer, you have to ask for what you want. And I think you'll pretty much, people, when you're volunteering, I think for the most part, people want to help. People
Right.
want to help. You just have to ask the question. And you'd be surprised. People will come to you and say, what can I help you with?
Right.
And that's what I've found out. You have to ask people, engage them in conversations, and see where you go from there.
A lot of networking, and it's true to ask, because sometimes,
Yeah.
and I'd say even within the Black community,
Yeah.
we're not very, we're not ones to ask often.
Mm-hmm.
So reaching out, leaning on our community partners, leaning on our village,
Mm-hmm.
to really come together to support each other, for sure.
That's right. Yeah.
Someone else is asking, where do you see Keep6ix going in the future?
For me, I don't want you to misunderstand me. I'm a little over the top in everything I do. So I would want to see Keep6ix be a household name, something like CNN. As soon as you hear the name, everybody knows what Keep6ix does, and what they're all about. So I'm hoping to collaborate with individuals and businesses and partners out there, so we can make ourselves known in the community. And so we want to measure the success. I want people to be able to stand in line to join the groups that we have, the programs that we have, because they've seen the success, and they've measured it by people coming back to mentor people who are trying to get into the program. I think that's my vision. I know the board, we just met recently, and I'm sure that they are on the same page as we all are. we want Keep6ix to take off in a big way, because I think it's needed. It's really, really needed. An organization like this is needed, because it's not often that you find somebody who wants to invest so much of their life's ambition into a program like this. And I really want to appreciatively applaud Mr. Miller for this organization that he's founded, because I know that it must be difficult to start an organization like this from the ground, from the bottom up, try to get to where he is. So, and all the other folks that have over the years been part of Keep6ix, I think that you guys should be applauded for the work. Rachel, I know that you work around the clock. I don't know how you do it, but it's sometimes I'm like, I'm going to make it a plan not to call Rachel after a certain time. And so I really appreciate everybody answers their phones, and they're always trying to do the best they can. And it makes you sleep better at nights when you know that you're able to help somebody, because everybody deserves a second chance. And Keep6ix offers that opportunity to individuals, especially those who have been incarcerated. And that's where my passion is, trying to support and hoping that Keep6ix, well, I'm not hoping, Keep6ix will take off to that place where they're well known.
You're manifesting it.
And declaring it. Yeah. In the name of the Lord. I'm really manifesting it.
We have Deborah saying, with you as a president, I am a mental health counselor. I'm certified in mental health and law and would love to volunteer.
Oh, nice. Sign up. So you probably could put the information online, and so people could volunteer.
Yeah, you can DM us, send us a DM or an email, and we can definitely coordinate and get in touch with you.
Absolutely.
Natasha, very true. And this is why we have this Instagram Live platform, to help to connect the community with information on what is available, for sure.
Yes. And so, I also want to encourage, their sponsors out there individuals who want to donate. I think this is a good time to donate. Taxes, you could get a write-off if you want to make a big donation to Keep6ix. I think this is the time to do it. We can always welcome sponsorships anytime. You can go on the website, and there's a slot that says donate. Go ahead and do that anytime you feel like it. Yeah. And we welcome any donations that people have.
Yeah, any sort of donations, sponsors, we're definitely more than willing to accept any assistance we can have to be able to support the individuals that we're working with in our community. Because of the donations we received in December, we were able to support quite a bit of our community when it came to, we were able to support youth shelters and community churches, and reach out to a few families who'd been directly impacted by COVID. So nothing too small or too big by any means. And Natasha's actually put the Keep6ix website at the bottom there, so you are able to join. Just checking to see if we have any more questions or comments on here. We've got someone who said, keep shining. I've been arrested 4 times, and now I work in schools. Yep.
Awesome. That's what it's about, right? That's what it's all about.
Takes a lot of time, energy, and a positive spirit, for sure.
And somebody like that could be a good source of mentorship for somebody who wants to, be part of Keep6ix. So we always welcome those kinds of individuals as well.
Yes. We're definitely always looking for mentors.
Yes.
Tasha saying, thank you so much to all who donated in 2020. Yes, thank you very, very much to all who donated. Alrighty. Well, Opal, thank you so much for joining me today. I know you were a little bit nervous, and
I was,
but you did great. You're natural, and you really shed a lot of light in terms of providing us with a background on what you do specifically, but also on where we can expect to see Keep6ix in the future and what your vision is. And anyone that is on here that is looking to assist Tree of Star and Tours, I just saw your message there. Yes, if you want to assist in any way, feel free to send us a DM or email us, and we'll get in contact with you. The lovely Miss Vicky Rose says, I like seeing Miss O in this arena. Hey, you know what, Vicky? Miss O is a very avid singer and actor. Hint, hint. So I think we might see a collaboration there.
Yeah.
Lots of community creatives in this chat right now. But no, thank you so much for everything you've done thus far, for joining me. And I'm sure we're gonna have you back on here again.
Oh, really? Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Rachel. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Have a pleasant evening.